Mr. Pogue, what are you sitting out in front of?
Hey, the new pool, buddy.
Nice.
Oh,
Yes, it's a dream
Nice.
come true, buddy.
man,
Is
look
it
at
all
that.
finished?
No, no, that slide's going to be encased in rock, and then there'll be a grotto built somewhere over there.
That
Is
is
that your
awesome.
new home office back there I just saw?
It certainly is. I try to spend as much time out here as possible.
I don't blame you.
Man, that's really cool.
I don't blame you one
So
bit.
so grateful, guys. So grateful. Stacy and I are just continuing to pinch ourselves.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Earning every lick of it every day, man. So here we are for phase 2, volume 2 of our 2-part series with Hemi and Pogue on how to recruit people to your business. I was trying to think of something sexier, but it didn't come out. How to recruit. And, I think it's one of those things where, Casey and I don't want to talk much. We want to turn it over to you guys, but I will just say that without the correct investment, without the correct activity, it really doesn't matter what the script is or learning what to say or how to say it, right? So I think the goal being that, Jacob, if you can get 5 recruits a week, eventually that turns into 5 licensed recruits a week. Initially, it may be kind of split half and half, but if you can get to 5 direct a week and at the same time, manage your production activity, if you're still in the field, talking to kind of lower, managers that haven't quite been able to pull themselves out of the field yet, 5 and 5 a week, 5 apps, 5 recruits. It's really, 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 really hard to not have explosive growth. Really hard. And Jimenez, you've been the perfect example of that, following Pogue, who is the perfect example of that. So I think the questions we get more than anything is, how do I recruit? So let me ask you that, Jacob Pogue. If I were to ask you a very broad question like that, how do I recruit? What would you say?
You share an amazing opportunity. So I just think if you're more laid back about it and realize that's all you're doing, you're just sharing an amazing opportunity. Most of us are here because we believe in this system, Brandon, right? We believe that this can be the answer, even if you haven't achieved it yet, right? You just started and you're working towards building a dream for your future. You have to believe that it's possible. That's why you're here. Well, if it's good for you, then it would be good for everyone else. And I think too many times we get too serious and we're trying to turn into this professional, suit and tie type interviewer, when it just doesn't have to be that way. You're sharing a great opportunity.
Okay. So how do I become less suit and tie and more real, Jimenez? Jacob, you and I were talking the other day. Back in the day, you would have a 20, 25, even sometimes 30-minute interview. I was like, man, that's at least twice of what Casey and I used to do.
45 to an hour. It was
45 minutes to an hour. Casey and I were more like 15 minutes, book them on 15 minutes. And, 75% of them will show up, and I should be able to close 50% at a minimum of the ones that show up. Because I do see some people that are so focused on activity that they have a ton of interviews lined up, but the contracts aren't matching up, right? So, Andrew, you've narrowed yours down to 15-minute interviews, I think. Is that accurate?
15 to 20, and it's only stretching really to 25 if I'm honestly pushing conference a little bit.
Okay.
So if I'm pushing an event, or I'm trying to make sure they really understand, hey, we got something coming up in your area, or Knoxville, Tennessee is coming up for our Wayland one, I promote that a bit more.
Hemi, you got 10 interviews and you close 1 or 2 of them. Why would that be? What would it take to get to a 50% close rate, just like you would on leads?
So let's clarify for a second too. When you say close rate, you're talking about a return packet return.
Right.
Yeah. I would say number 1, there was no connectivity. They may have felt like you almost had like a second screening, is kind of how it felt to them. And number 2, you probably laid out no expectation of when you're trying to get everything finalized and finished back by.
I agree with that 100%. Yep. All right. So let's hear it, man. And we will get questions on how, what resources are you using to recruit as well. My answer is always all of them. Some of it works, all of it works some of the time. None of it works all of the time. And if I have all my eggs in one basket, what happens if I trip and fall and the basket falls over, if I get kicked out of the basket, or if there's a lot of things that can go wrong there. So what, is there a resources thing that maybe you would like to share that you use, and maybe that's proprietary to the Jimenez and Pogue agency, so we don't have to go there, but
No proprietary stuff over here, man. We share everything.
Yeah. Just follow your recruiting script. And I guess from the great Mr. Brian Pope, he put it as simple as this. He's like, everyone wants to own an agency. He said the thing about owning an agency, it's kind of like raising a kid. You don't get to enjoy all the awesome pieces about having a kid and playing with them without first changing some diapers.
Mhm.
Doing interviews are changing diapers. So the more you do, the better you get at it, the bigger agency you're going to build. So don't think that you've just been recruiting for 90 days and there's no results. There's results. You're either getting yourself a whole lot better or it's underlying growth. You're focusing on the roots right now.
Yeah.
The bloom is going to come. Just give it
I
time.
love it. You're first working on getting yourself better, and you're second working on finding better people, and you have to be better before you can find better, and you have to do more of it to get better. And so I agree with you. Recruiting is not like a 90-day thing and I'm going to become an agency owner. Recruiting is a lifetime thing in my business. How can I systematize it to the best of my abilities? But that's what allows me to kind of pull out of the field and then focus a lot more on it. Okay. So resources wise, everything from ZipRecruiter to Craigslist to
Career builder.
to I think that one of the things that we don't utilize nearly enough is client recruiting.
Yep.
For those that are in the field, are you asking every single person that you're talking to that's a recruit? Are you at a restaurant? John Ziller and I were at dinner the other night, and he had a good conversation with a server because she was dynamite, and maybe she'll come on board, maybe she won't. But are you going out to dinners and lunches and talking to the people there? As another example, like everything works, and if you're excited about it, you can't really sit still. You want to share it. So, I know we will get that question if we haven't already, but let's assume that maybe you guys can kind of just walk us through, give us a 3-minute version of the process. Maybe there's been an initial call from someone, maybe it's you've sent them somewhere, and then I want to do some kind of role playing if you guys want to on just what a good recruiting script would sound like.
Had some specific kind of stuff you wanted to dig into as well that would be impactful, but however you want to go.
Pull your microphone over there, Casey.
Unless you guys have some specific content you kind of wanted to go over that you thought would be helpful too.
No, what I thought we would do today, man, last week's call, thank you guys so much for having us on again. It's truly an honor. I just thought we would go through the script last week, man. If y'all missed last week's call, tune in. I took some notes. I was thinking through this morning of like, what did we cover last week? And we went through a day in the life of a successful builder, of a successful leader, and so if you want to learn like what he's doing, check out last week's call. He spends time, some of the notes I have, spends time focusing on profitable activities, puts and puts time in his schedule to recharge. He starts his day filling his cup, personal development. You can't give what you don't have, right? So he does that. He has association calls during the day. He makes 5 reach down calls in depth in his agency every single day. That's on top of the coaching calls that he does. And he takes time to celebrate people when they're doing well. He talked about his schedule and how owning that is important. If you don't own your schedule, it will own you. Lessons learned from me. Trust me, you got to own your schedule. We talked about culture and how he creates a forward-looking culture by getting his agents, Casey, you talk about this, to lift their head up from what's going on today to what's going on in the future. And builds relationships with people, and that's why he has a building culture. We talked about it wasn't a call about the activity. That's the thing. It was a call about the process he follows, but the process he follows leads to great activity, leads to great results. So and then we talked about how his interview is quick, concise, to the point, and that's what we want to go through today. So please go listen to last week's call. There's a lot in depth in there, a lot of nuggets that can help you. But Andrew, man, we edified you last week. You're just a rock star, man, doing 250 to 300,000. You're going to be at 120 sometime soon. And I'm just proud of you, man. So let's just knock it out. The role play of what your interview looks like. And like Brandon said, is there like a 3-step process you follow in that interview, like a bulleted point process you follow?
I think I just kind of texted it to you pretty simply. It's report, which is kind of that like vetting process and an expectation. Tell a story, do a takeaway, tell them the next steps. It's pretty much that simple. And in essence of time, we'll make this a nice, simple, easy interview. The one thing I'd love for you to throw in is a lead question. Like ask me, well, what's the lead system? And I'll tell you guys exactly how I handle that in about 2 minutes, and then you move on. Because so that's why I think some of your interviews are running 40 minutes long, is you want to take 20 minutes to explain the entire lead system.
That's what I know
Andrew,
from interviews.
repeat what you said, buddy. You got kind of a 3-part framework.
Yeah, it's rapport, expectation. You tell a story that would basically be similar to the individual that you're already chatting with, or what they want out of this business. You drop a takeaway, like Casey says, hey man, I've been chatting, but I just know this business isn't for everyone. It's either gonna be for you or not. You're gonna really show if it is. Here's the next steps for you. And then you talk about the next steps and what it takes to return the packet.
Cool.
So good, man. And you talk about that 2-minute response to the lead question. That's how you respond to any question. You're not getting in the weeds and trying to sell. It's just let's go through it, man.
All right, so ring.
And you're calling me, correct? Because this is a scheduled interview time after the first interview.
Yep.
So I've already seen a company overview. I know a little bit about the company.
Yep. And if you're on my calendar, I'm calling you. I'm not waiting for you to call me.
Perfect.
So, Jacob, giving you a ring.
Hello?
Hello, Jacob.
Yeah.
Hey, Jacob, this is Andrew Jimenez. I'm giving you a call here for your interview with Symmetry Financial Group. I just want to take about 15 to 20 minutes to walk through your interview. The first thing I want to do, man, is just talk to you a little bit about you. From there, I'll talk to you about some expectations. And after that, if we decide to move forward, we'll talk about the next steps and really what's after that. Sound good?
Sounds good to me, man. All
right, man. So first things first, how are you doing, especially with all the COVID craziness these days?
We're doing good. We, my wife and I had it, but we're doing better now. So yeah, everything's good, buddy. How about you?
I'm doing well. Just like you said, I think it's a matter of just rolling with the punches. You know what I mean? Whether what's going on or not, we just keep doing what we got to do. So I like it. And talk to me a little bit about, remind me, what are you doing for work currently, or what did you do before COVID?
So I was a bartender, and I was doing well, making around $80,000 a year, and then COVID hit, and that industry kind of went kaput. People couldn't sit at my bar anymore. So a restaurant really turned into a to-go food restaurant.
Yeah, so, I know. I understand that. I mean, I feel like the full service industry really got hammered. And how long had you been doing that for?
12 years.
12 years. Wow. So, I mean, you had gotten pretty good at it. Did you own the restaurant yet?
I didn't own the restaurant, no, but I did get pretty good at some bar tricks and stuff.
I bet. Probably 100% closing ratio.
That's exactly right. They asked me a few times to become a manager, but I would be taking a pay cut to do that. So I just stayed bartending.
Gotcha. So it wasn't necessarily the more responsibility or anything. It was just like, hey, I know I'm going to take a pay cut and I have a certain lifestyle. And so you want to.
That's exactly right. I was making more than the manager at the place, and he did have a lot more responsibility. I mean, as it was, I was working, 12-hour shifts, and he was working 14 hours, making less money. It just didn't, and dealing with a lot more headaches. So no, it wasn't the lack of me being willing to do it. It just didn't make financial sense to do it.
Understood. And talk to me now. You're looking for something different. It sounds like you've had some success before and doing bartending, but what are your hot points? Like, what's your hot button at this point?
Well, I went to school. I got my finance degree, and could never really put that into play because I was kind of hamstrung by the money I was making at the bar. No one would pay me that coming out of school. And it was fine for a while when I was young, but I've been with my wife for 14 years now, and or 22 years now. But I just need more time with her, man. I leave 5 nights a week away from home, and it's not what we pictured for our life. So I definitely need more time, and I need to make a certain amount of money. things are tight as it is with when I was making 80 grand, and that fell to be non-existent. So I need something that where I can make, $80,000 plus and have more time with my family.
So usually my next question for a lot of people is always like, are you feeling a little burnt out, or is it kind of like financially need to make a change? But I mean, it sounds like it's already both. You want more time back with your wife, and you were making 80, you lived up to that expectation, and you need to make some more money or change the way you're living, right?
Right.
So
absolutely.
On top of that too, I'll usually ask people like, what is it that you're making, or what do you want to make? But you mentioned about $80,000. Is there a level of income that you want to make? Have you ever thought about crossing that 100 grand barrier?
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely have thought about it. I mean, there's been multiple times when I, with my wife and just talking and dreaming and knowing that, if we just had more money, we could definitely live a different life. Up until I found this opportunity, that's why I'm excited about it. I didn't know that type of thing was out there for me, or how to make the move from bartending to do that. But that's why we're on the phone, Andrew. I watched the company overview. I still have questions. Honestly, a little bit, skeptical. It seems too good to be true. But if it is real and legit, yeah, definitely over 100,000 is what I wouldn't want to make.
Yeah, I can totally understand. I think at first glance too, this piece where you can come in here, work at home, make sales, make about $500 per sale. It can be a lot. We'll make sure we get all your questions answered. Let me ask you just a few more couple quick things, man. You make that 80 to 100, you have a finance and accounting degree, you want to get to that 100 grand piece. I would just ask you, are you really at a point where you thought you'd be at in your life, where your career is currently at?
Not at all. Not at all. My wife and I had a bunch of dreams. We started dating in high school, and we wanted a house with the white picket fence and being on the same work schedule. Aside from marrying the girl of my dreams, there's not much else we have checked off of the list that we set out when we were young. So no, I'm not where I want to be.
And how long do you feel like you want to keep doing that for?
I'm done, man. I'm done. This was a wake up call. COVID shutting down the restaurant. I've got to do something else. I can't. I've got to change industries.
Understood. So then let's talk a little bit about that. You saw the videos, said it's a little bit too good to be true. But I mean, to me, that's a great comment, because that means there's a lot of things that you liked. So talk to me about the videos. What do you like best about the Symmetry videos? What caught your eye?
Well, number one, I mean, people, I did a lot of research on the company, and I saw, one, the founders seemed pretty pretty funny. But the culture, I mean, it seems like people are happy and people are building relationships, and that's important to me. I love people. I love being around people, and it's definitely different than what I deal with at the bar, or it looks different. It seems like people travel a lot, which is cool. It's something my wife and I wish we could do. We go to the beach once a year, but yeah, I just had questions. I saw about the leads, and you have to pay for those, and I just seems like, I don't know. Is this something where like people are just making money off of me? Like, it's just, I've never experienced something where you had to like buy something to be part of a company.
Absolutely. I guess the main thing I'd really want you to understand is when you walk into this industry, you got to think you're starting your own business. You're about to become a self-employed insurance agent. And just like any small business, there's two ways to acquire clients, right? You got warm market and you got advertising. The only difference is Symmetry took care of that advertising. So when you say we're making money off you, not really. I actually got something that I'd like to go over with you if you can give me the time. I'm happy to go over all the details of our lead situation and our system in full once we really establish if we're going to move forward together, and just figure out if it's going to be a fit both ways. But about the lead system, I can tell you there's three big things that were relevant to me when I got started about 5 years ago that I think should be just relevant to you. The number one thing is this, is you are the only one profiting off the lead source. The only time anyone is making any money is when an insurance policy is sold and a family is protected, and the agent who wrote the policy is always making the most money. So that would be you, Jacob. Number two, you're not required to buy leads, man. They're there as a service. They're there as a privilege for our agents so they can utilize a source to make sure they have consistent appointments week over week. But if you have other ways of generating business, like I said before, warm market, in fact, you're encouraged to do that and not rely completely just on our lead system. The third thing is whether you decide to work the leads or not, the truth is they work. They've been here as the backbone of our system for the past 10 years. Symmetry started off in 2009, and in 2019 we did 120 million, and in 2020 we just went and did 160 million doing COVID and using the lead system completely virtual. So over the past four or 5 years, being part of Inc. 5000, having hockey stick growth, mainly it's not this. The leads work. It's just a matter if you're going to work within the system. So like I said, I'm happy to go over the full detail of everything there, but I just want to make sure we understand that if we decide to move forward, just understand this. You're going to determine your success, not necessarily the leads. Is that fair?
Yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate that explanation. That does make sense to me, you know.
And then, going back to it real fast, I just wanted to find out, you left bartending. I assume you're looking for something full-time?
Yes. I might need, I might need to start part-time at first if I can find another, bartending job or something in the meantime to make income right now. I guess it would depend on what's the ramp up time to get started with you guys.
Yeah, you can start part-time, full-time. I would say probably a lot about 30 days, just because you have to study for your license, take your exam. That should take you about a week or two. And then after that, it's just 1 to 2 weeks until the state issues your license. And we're going to start your training during that limbo period. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'd have to get a license. It said that in your ad. And how much does that cost? What's the process of that?
Yep. So it's total of $200 to $300. You got $50 for a licensing course. And then the rest of the fees, you got a state exam fee, a state licensing fee, and then a fingerprinting fee. And those are all charged by your state Department of Insurance.
And you said that should take me about a couple of weeks to get that done?
Yeah, just a few weeks. Give yourself, with COVID, as you can imagine, there's just been delays.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
So with that being said, any other questions you have for me?
I don't think so. I'm ready to give this thing a go, man, and see if it can't, get me out of the restaurant industry.
Yep. All right, man. Well, here's what I got for you then. I want to talk to you a little bit about some expectations. And the last thing I wanted to mention just before I continue is the video itself. It talked about kind of two paths. You can come in here and just produce, and the other side of it is you can come in here and build an agency. Which one of those kind of popped out to you more?
Well, my eyes lit up, when I saw the numbers of building an agency. That's something that ultimately, I guess my long-term plan would be to do that. But I just feel I need to come in and figure out what I'm doing first, make sure I can be successful before I start doing that.
Yeah, man. Well, I like the fact that you want to build an agency, because I'm telling you, if the things that you want is to spend more time with your wife, being able to take more trips to the beach, travel, and really experience the culture that we have here, there's nothing better than being able to develop an agency inside of Symmetry to make that happen. So here's what I got next for you. And I'm going to move pretty quickly through this, guys, just as we come up to the call. I'm going to want to talk to you a little bit about some expectations, and then we'll talk about the next steps. Sound good? Okay.
Perfect.
So I've been doing this, Jacob, for about 5 years. And I've watched a lot of people come into this business and do extremely well, making 6 figures, deep 6 figures, even some at 7. And I've also watched a lot of people come into this business as well and not write a single policy. And I think the reasons for both spectrums is the exact same. The first one, and I want you to write this down, is discipline and consistency. When you walk into this business, I'm expecting you to be an adult. But I've also noticed that the thing is, if you come in here and you make your phone calls, you book your appointments, you will make sales. I think where people fall short is just they're not used to the freedom and the autonomy that they have, and they take a little bit too much advantage of their schedule. And the fact that maybe they're not used to being their own boss, it just really starts, they start to learn the hard way. And the only person that's telling them, hey, get back to work, is when their bank account is low. Does that make sense?
Yeah, complete sense.
The second thing is the best piece about this business and the worst piece about this business is it's going to cost you about $200 to $300 to get going. And we have a discounted licensing course. We have leads that get started wherever you need to get started at. But what I've noticed is just because you can get started on a shoestring, people treat it like a shoestring business. And this is a business that is going to pay you over 100 grand a year if you want it to, and not be a place where if you treat it like a job where you get a, $10 an hour with your name on it, a shirt with your name on it. I mean, expect it to pay you like that if that's what you want to treat it like. Make sense?
Yes.
And the last thing is just being super coachable. We have a proven system, and it's going to be, your training is going to be done in 3 tiers. First one is going to be your licensing. We'll get that hammered out. The second piece is you're going to go through Quality University. It's going to teach you how to make phone calls, book appointments, set them, prep them properly, and set them and make sales. And the third piece, which is the most important, is we're going to teach you how to get out there and make sales. But if you want to make this a career, that's attending all of our conference calls, our regional events, and our national events. Okay. And that's where you're going to learn exactly from the guys who are already making that $10,000, $15,000 sales mark, or making that 5, 10, 15 grand plus in income, telling you exactly what they do to get out there and go do it. And at this point, if I knew that there was a regional event or national event, I would hammer down a little story about Symmetry in that event there. In essence of time, skip that piece. Then my next piece I would say is, okay, Jacob, knowing his story is about a bartender, I would use a bartending story. So I would normally tell Jacob's story for most people in restaurant industry. Okay. Hey, Jacob, I just knew this guy. He actually helped me get started in this business. And I remember he flew out to Phoenix one time and he was just telling me about where he came from. He was working 6 days a week. He saw his wife one day and crossing paths as she was driving to work and he was driving back home. And he was just at a point in his life where, even though he's making about 80 to 90 grand bartending, he wasn't happy with the fact that he had built his life barely being able to see his wife. He had dreams of having a nice family and being able to really grow something there. But after the crash in 2008, trying to live up to the type of lifestyle he had created, he just found himself spinning his wheels. He came here to Symmetry, and I'm not going to tell you that it was all, sunshine and rainbows from the get-go. But here was the thing, is that he did come in, he did work hard, and within 2 years, he was able to retire his wife out of her job. And then he was able to start spending every single day with her. And so, man, really when it comes down to it, I can tell you, like I said, I've been doing this for a while. And the truth is I don't know if this is going to be for you. It could be, it might not be. But here's the one thing that I really need to know, is after doing this for a while, I realized just a few things. The number one, people will always surprise me once I put some leads in their hands. And number two, I can't tell somebody's heart over a 20-minute phone call. So the one thing I would like to know is this a business and opportunity you're really looking for? Or are we going to jump off the phone and you're still going to go look for something else?
No, man, this is really enjoyed our conversation. I'm in, man. This I'm excited. I can't wait to get started. I just want to know the next steps, and this is exactly what I've been looking for, man.
All right. So I'll let you know this, Jacob. We've been interviewing for the last few weeks, and we're just going to be wrapping up our interviews and our candidates here shortly. So you're one of my last few interviews, and really we're going to come to decisions here in the next day or two. In order to be considered for the position, I'm going to send you out some paperwork. It's going to take you about 40 minutes to an hour, just depending if you have all the documents on hand. And we need it back by, knowing that it's going to take about 40 minutes to an hour. When can you have that back to us by today?
I can do it. I can do it this evening. I can have it back to you tonight.
Okay. By tonight, what time?
I'd say 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock? Perfect. So I'll put you down for 9 o'clock to have it back by. Could you do me a favor? Could you just grab a pen and a paper? I've got a few assignments for you.
I have one. I've been taking notes.
Cool. So the first one is that paperwork I'm sending you, right? There's 4 quick pieces to it. You got your background, you got your licensing, the anti-money laundering course, and then the banking. Finish that up. Number 2, you mentioned you'd have it back by what time again?
9 p.m. tonight.
Fantastic. Third thing I want you to do is shoot me a text after you return it back by 9 p.m. so I can check in the emails and make sure that it was received. After that point, I'm gonna make sure the office staff knows so they can get a chance to review it. Just like I said, we're running out of time here. And then as long as everything looks good and they send you out the licensing course, then the 4th thing I'm gonna do for you is we're gonna jump back on the phone. I'm gonna give you a couple instructions about the licensing course and how to hammer that out. And 2, the next conference call that I want you to get on. Sound good?
Perfect.
All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure chatting with you, Jacob. Look forward to seeing your packet back by 9 p.m. tonight. And just like I said, shoot me a text once you return it back to us. Sound good?
Will do, man. Thank you for this opportunity. Can't wait to join the team.
Absolutely.
Boom. I'm recruited. Sign me up, Timmy. Sign me up.
Very nice, buddy.
Jacob and Andrew, you guys tend to the Q&A down there now if you can, because it looks like we got a lot of questions coming in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really good stuff. And we're going to keep hammering this stuff out. There is a kind of a format, if you will, or a framework on HQ for successful interviews. But we'll put some more teeth behind that. And obviously, as we're continuing to build out Quility U, we'll make sure that we get some of that in there as well. Andrew, I have had a couple of questions come through that I think only you can answer, which is how much would you charge some of these other managers to do the interviews for them?
No, that I can do their interviews.
That you can do their interviews. Is there a price that?
Oh, absolutely. Let me calculate how much it will cost me to hire a recruiter to do my interviews. So that's like $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and I want to hire 2 to 3 more of those. If I can get 6 agency owners, I'll do all you guys' interviews so I can hire 6 recruiters to do mine. So that'd be fine.
Sounds like a good deal.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good deal.
$6,000 a month.
I don't know, man. You got to train a recruiter to get pretty darn good to get the results you're doing. You know, it's really, again, it's all about activity, isn't it? Like if you can have someone force you into 20 interviews a week, you know, maybe initially you're only good enough to get 2 packets or 3 packets out of it. Within a month, as long as you're kind of going for the constant correction, that could turn into 5 or 6. And then before you know it, you've been doing it for a while, you're at a 50% clip on getting people through the funnel. And it's hard to lose, man. And tell me about just your mindset too. Like when you hang up from those calls, are you not, when you're talking to somebody that's into it, they're coming on board, it's like making a sale, except way better. You know, salespeople are addicted to that feeling they get when they make a sale. Start recruiting and see what happens.
It's even better when you got someone who's just 100% on board and you had a great conversation. But I learned this from Casey, and maybe you said it. Don't name your puppies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait till they return the packet first. Then you can start getting excited and being like, man, I had a great conversation with this guy. And one thing I really learned was after they return the packet, then have a conversation with this person as to what do they really want out of Symmetry, and take that 5 to 10 minutes to get to know them even more about what Symmetry can do for them versus you just qualifying and seeing if this is going to be a good fit.
Yep.
And I would say, you know, it is the activity, Brandon. Without it, that trumps everything, right? Like,
yeah,
what you lack in skill, you make up for an activity. But I want you to hear, and y'all need to re-listen to this over and over again. Same with the last call. His posture. It's his posture. He's laid back. He's not trying to sell this thing. You know, it's a beautiful posture.
Yeah.
It's probably the same posture you had, right?
That
when
comes
you were
naturally with activity as well, because it's
Mhm.
just like everyone on this call that knows how to go out and get 5,000, 6, 8, 10,000 a week in production. You know, they say, I don't know how to recruit. What's the same exact activity? The reason you're so good in the home is because you booked enough appointments. The reason you're such a good recruiter is because you have enough people to talk to. And when you have enough people to talk to, you don't need them. Just like you don't need your clients, and you can actually think about what they need, not what you need. So activity buys you posture. immediately. If you're trying to set a very few amount of appointments in your business or a very few amount of interviews, your posture automatically is not going to work right, even if you have a good script. You have to set that's the most important thing for your posture, whether you're running appointments in the field or recruiting. It's just like turning over rocks, and if you have enough rocks to turn over, then it's a quick look and it's like, oh yeah, that guy's in, he's ready to go, she's ready to go. And it's a quick conversation. And then as soon as somebody either in the home, like if I'm trying to sell insurance or if I'm recruiting, as soon as somebody starts giving me a ton of backlash, I just don't have time for it. And I'm not going to be rude at all, but it's just like, yeah, man, you're in good shape, Jacob, keep bartending. You're killing it, man. I know it doesn't sound like you need this. So good luck to you.
Yep.
It's very friendly, but it's just like, I've set myself up for success with activity.
Maybe you would at least send him the recipe for a spirit lifter or a Hemi
yeah, give him a recipe.
Yeah. They want to go away empty-handed, waste his 20
Good,
minutes. So good stuff, Hemi.
Guys.
Pogue, appreciate you guys. We'll keep hammered out on these calls. Welcome aboard, everybody, to our national call. If you missed that one, I don't know what to tell you other than you just blew it, but that's okay. You can listen to it. We've recorded it. It'll be on the SoundCloud. So go back and listen to it
8 minutes of it
a dozen times. That's what I would say. Go listen to it a dozen times. We got a good one lined up for you today, and we're already over schedule, as per the usual. Eileen Balmer, unveil and unmute, if you will.
Hello.
Oh, I like what I'm seeing back there. Your background. Nice, Casey. It looks kind of like our new office.
It does. Nice, Eileen.
It's coming
Really
together.
good.
Yeah. Eileen, what do you have in store for us today? Give us a 30-second precursor to what's to come.
30-second. I'm going to interview what we're calling a recovering corporate executive. Mr. Gil Griego, he's gone through the program, and I'm going to talk to him about what got him here and how he may be different than some of us that came here broken and that type of thing. And because, he's relatable too. There's corporate folks out in our midst that are probably looking around wondering, how did I end up here? And we just want to have a conversation with him and,